Bump and Run with Bernie and Dahlby. Presented by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Now, here's Brett Bernheisel and Steve Dahlby.
Well, here we are again. The most inconsistent podcast in America. We've made it to show 28. We went old school here. Didn't even get the same suited cards, so we just went old school. Dahlby couldn't do the show with us tonight because he is currently landing. I think he's landing for the tournament in Hilton Head this week. He's heading back out on the road for this week. So Schu and I will do this, and Dahlby will be back next week. And he promises that he'll do the show next week, and he's fired up for it. So Schu, it's you and I again tonight.
Do you want to tell the people why we had to go old school for the show number this week? Do you want to tell the people, or do you not?
Apparently,
I mean, I'll tell the people if you don't want to tell the people.
Well, I mean, go ahead. You know what? You're a better storyteller than I am, so you fire away.
So we get into the place that we do the recording here, our virtual studio, and we were getting everything set up, and we were seeing if we could catch Dahlby as he's traveling, and Dahlby a little tied up, so we're going to get to him next week. And so Bernie's like, all right, just be you and I, Schu, no problem. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We laid out a little bit of the show, talked a little who you got. And then Bernie was like, let's do this. Let's go. We'll keep it. We talked about how long the show is going to be. We were all ready to go. He's like, perfect. So I hit the little button in the corner here that presses record. I get ready to hit the music. Oh, wait. Don't have the stuff to show the number. So Bernie scrambles off screen, comes back with the 2 of diamonds, and I believe it was the 8 of clubs in order to say show 28. Got to talk to that sign company, Bernie.
Yeah, we'll call this the double down version because normally if you get a 2 diamonds and 8 of clubs playing blackjack,
double down, baby.
You're doubling down, unless maybe not against a face card or an ace, but some people do that. So yeah, I had to scramble. The sign company is the phone's disconnected. It's I've got to find a new sign company, or I got to hire somebody with all the money we're making doing this show. Hire somebody to do this full time because it's a full time gig.
The signs for our show, absolutely.
I mean, I email somebody tomorrow morning and be like, hey, 29's next week. Let's get on it.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, who cares about the sign company? They sucked anyway. What'd you think of the tournament? I know everybody watched it. I mean, it was the most watched thing ESPN has ever had, first day or whatever it was. What were your thoughts? I mean, we all know that Scheffler won and yeah, just give me your thoughts, and then I'll roll with you.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different angles here, right? There's obviously the Tiger angle, which we touched on last week of whether or not he was going to play. Ultimately, he did. Played, made the cut. Didn't play particularly well all 4 days, but made the cut and played 4 rounds of competitive golf, something that I don't think a year ago we thought would ever happen again. He did, played 4 rounds of competitive golf, and has basically already committed to playing the U.S. Open, and says we'll consider the PGA Championship, so it wasn't just a one and done for him at this point. So there's that angle that we can talk about. We can talk about the angle of Scottie Scheffler being the best golfer on the planet right now with the form that he has been on and now has a major championship to boot. That's an angle. We can talk about the overall lack of competitiveness of the tournament, Bernie. I mean, Scheffler had the lead going into the final day, and it was kind of all she wrote, right? I don't think anybody anticipated it being close. It got close at times, but never to a point where, man, it's appointment TV, got to watch it, got to be there because it's going to come down to the final hole. It never really felt that way. So there's that angle, and so I will push it back. I will pin this question back on you to tell me what angle you'd like to talk about here, because there's a lot to get into.
Well, first of all, so you're right that he hasn't committed to the PGA, Tiger. But it's not the U.S. Open. It's the British Open.
Oh, excuse
St.
me.
Andrews.
Apologies to the.
Yeah, you're all good. You're all good.
People of the British Open.
The Open, yeah, it's all good. So he's committed to that. We'll start with Scheffler. Yeah, you're right. He's the best player in the world on the planet right now. I mean, here's a guy, and we talked about it, and I've said it before. He's now got 4 wins in the last 57 days. Okay, I mean, this is unheard of, and the one thing that like Colt Knost, who's been on our program before, and he's great. Colt needs a bigger part with CBS. His insight to what he knows and the way he can talk, he needs a bigger role. But that's that. He said that once Scheffler wins a tournament, okay, he's going to steamroll the world, and he was right so far. I mean, 4 wins, 57 days. including a major. He just won the match play, and now he has to come back to the Masters, and he basically went wire to wire. And hats off to him. Hats off to him and his team. I think Dahlby and I have touched on this before, and I think maybe you have too. The Ted Scott, his caddy, I think is a big influence on his success. And I saw the funny tweet today that Bubba Watson was holding back Ted Scott, which I thought was funny. But he's so calm, Scheffler, in his demeanor out there that nothing bothers him. And that's you need that to be successful at this particular level. Now, here's a guy that, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm going to fire numbers out. He played in 126 junior golf tournaments as a kid and won 67% of them. So I mean that stuff's unheard of. So he's used to dominating. He's used to dominating in the juniors, high school, college, the the amateur level, and now professional level. And it's not. People are like, well, and I was talking to people yesterday and some today that were rooting against him because they're already tired of him because he's, keeps winning and they want somebody new, and people are, rooting for Cam Smith and things like that, or whoever, Sung J.M. I don't know if anybody's rooting for him, but they were rooting for Cam Smith. But this guy, he's in a different level right now, and he broke the barrier when his win at the Waste Management, and now there's like nothing can stop this guy, and it's truly incredible.
I think, at least for me, and I was thinking about this a little bit today, knowing that we were doing the show tonight. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you and Dahlby certainly will. But this is the closest thing that we've had in golf to Jordan Spieth streak that he had, where he just was the best player on the planet. You just win all the time, right? That early stretch of his career where, oh gosh, this is the next Rory, this is the next Tiger, this is the next great player of our game. And then the streak fizzled out. Not saying that's going to happen here to Scottie Scheffler, but that's what this feels like to me. It feels like that streak. It feels like that kind of buzz where when Scottie Scheffler's playing a golf tournament, you expect him to win. You expect him to be able to compete. You expect him to be in the mix on Sunday. And to me, golf's a streaky game, man. It just is. And to go on a streak like this, to be this successful in this short amount of time, it's certainly impressive. You tip your cap. I almost said, and I don't think I did, but we were talking about his win a couple of weeks ago, and I almost said to you guys on the show, I almost interjected at one point, and I'm going to out myself here. I'm going to old takes expose myself. I, on the show, was going to say, yeah, but if you needed to win a major right now, you wouldn't pick Scottie Scheffler as one of your first 5 picks if you were making a pool, if you were doing a draft of guys to win a major. I almost said it out loud on the show because, yes, it was an impressive streak, but he's still not one of the first guys that you would pick. Well, I don't know if that statement's
right.
true. I don't know if that statement's true now because he just won the Masters and he's playing at an extremely high level. So that statement would no longer be true now. And so it's fascinating how quickly these things can change, but just a tip of the cap to him because this is a very impressive streak that he's on.
And that's what you just said is 100% accurate. 100% accurate. That for myself, following the game as close as I follow it, if you gave me a sheet, and I was actually in some pools this week, okay, some Masters pools that are run by some friends of mine.
For points,
I didn't pick them.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Strictly for points.
Strictly for points.
That's you and I back in the radio days. I didn't pick him. I thought, no, he's not winning. No. I mean, give me Justin Thomas. Give me Koepka. Give me Rory. Give me Morikawa. Give me Schauffele. And I'll talk about Schauffele later because in my mind he's become overrated now. But give me those guys. Give me Rahm. Give me whoever.
Right.
But Scheffler was not in my top 10. And now going forward, if you look at like the favorites to win the PGA Championship, it's Scottie Scheffler. Now, I don't know what the odds are him to win the Grand Slam, and I don't think he's going to win the Grand Slam. And I'm probably going to be wrong there too. I don't know. But he's now the favorite. He went from 19th in the world, 12th in the world, or wherever he was at the beginning of the year, to being a guy that you could look at a betting site or whatever, and he's 30-1, 35-1 to win Waste Management or whatever it might, the Arnold Palmer or the WGC. Now he's the favorite. He's gone from, good player, great player, number one player. It's just a fascinating ride that he's on. Now, let's look at yesterday real quick in a short window, because when Cameron Smith got within one shot after the second hole, okay?
Yeah.
And they both hit it in the shit on number 3. Scheffler's was way into it. And he got the break of a lifetime because he had the temporary movable obstruction, which was the scoreboard, was able to take relief from that and have a shot at the green. Now, I didn't hit a very good shot, and then Cam Smith followed up with the same shot. But then Scheffler holding that chip shot on 3, okay, the bump and run into the hill, take a good hop, get lucky, hit the flag, it's going 20 feet by. That stuff like that, you need to be able to win golf tournaments. And the luck was on. I'm not taking anything away from him. Please don't. I'm not saying that. But you have to get the lucky bounces. You have to get, the stuff to go your way to be able to become a champion. Not always, but lucky bounces and things like that. I mean, that stuff helps. And when that happened, and then I know you want to talk about it, when Cam got within 3 after making birdie on 11, which is the hardest hole out there in my opinion, especially now. And then it's hard for me to imagine that where that ball ended up on 12 in the creek was his intended line. I know people think it was. I don't know if that was his intended line, because that's not probably. I mean, you have 7 holes left. I know you have to be aggressive. You're trying to win. He's not playing for second. I get it. I mean, that ball came up 20 yards short. I think it was 15 yards right of his target, and he hit it fat. And I don't think that was his intention. But you know what? I could be wrong.
If it's a mishit, fine. If you're trying to attack there, you just can't do that, because you don't have to make 2 there. You just can't make 5. You can't make 6.
6.
That's what you can't do. You don't have to make 2. You can make 3 or 4, and you're fine on that hole. And again, I know I'm the casual golf guy, and this is the guy I constantly bring it back to, but I need to illustrate the point. Tiger Woods won the 2019 Masters because do you know what he did on 12? He put it between the 2 bunkers. He didn't challenge the flag. He said, you know what? I've watched Tony Finau put it in the water. I watched Francesco Molinari put it in the water. 2 guys Koepka put it in the water. The group right before him that he got there, and you know what he did? He decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to step up here. I'm going to put it between the 2 bunkers. I'm going to 2-putt or 3-putt, and I'm going to get out of here with a chance to win and attack on the rest of this back 9. That's what you do. And the image is seared into my brain, Bernie, of Tiger Woods walking across the bridge on 12 in 2019 when Tony Finau and Francesco Molinari are just walking to the drop area. They don't get to cross the bridge. They got to stay over there and continue shooting. You cannot do that. That's just the one thing you cannot do in that spot. You can't be aggressive. You have to play it safe. You have to give yourself a chance to attack the remainder of the tournament. And it's just, I don't understand why those things happen. I mean, we watched a guy win a Masters because 4 people put it in the water just 3 years ago. And yet people still try to attack that pin in that location. It's not like it's a new location. I mean, that's the spot. You go between the 2 bunkers there. You do not attack. I mean, by the way, Scheffler didn't hit a good shot.
Terrible.
He hooked his left into the I don't even know what you would call
the bushes.
But he wasn't fully in the bushes. He was in the little pine straw.
Well, it was in and it came back down. It was in and came back down.
But that's a 10 times better area to be than to try to attack the pin and put it in the water. I don't understand it, Bernie. I'm watching the tournament and I watch him do it and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. No one's learned. That's where the inexperience of playing the Masters comes into. It's why I pick a guy who's played there before, who's won there before, who's who's done well there before. Because if you know the course, if you know your way around it, you avoid mistakes like that. You know, like, okay, this is where I can miss here. And guess what? Where Scheffler missed on that hole is an okay spot to miss. You can get up and down for a 3, or you can make 4 and you're fine.
Yeah, so hold on. Cam Smith finished second there last year. I mean, so it's not like he hasn't had success there. And I'm telling you right now, you can mark my word on this. Cam Smith will win a green jacket sometime in his life. I will tell you that right now. Now, I don't know how long the show might have to last 20 years or something like that. And Dahlby and I will be in wheelchairs by then. but he is going to win a green jacket. And I don't know. I don't know if he purposely was going at it. In my mind, I don't think so. I think he was trying to hit it middle, like you said, over the front bunker, and he just didn't execute. Or maybe he was, a complete idiot and decided to take it on. I mean, you watched 3 groups earlier or whatever, 2 or 3 groups earlier, Justin Thomas, he had to go for it. He had to, and he rinsed it. There's situations where, and I 100% agree with you. You cannot lose it on 12. You watched it years ago when Willett ended up beating Jordan Spieth, because Spieth, made 7 there, 6 or 7 or whatever he made that year. It seemed like he was on that hole for an hour. And he got aggressive when he shouldn't have. Scheffler's shot got lucky there. But yeah, you're right. Being left of the green, being long is way better than now having a 56 or 62-yard shot over the same water you just hit it into, knowing you can't be short again, and he flares it over the green and ends up making triple bogey, and the tournament was over. I mean, the tournament, as far as for Smith. Now, you look at what, Rory, one of the coolest moments of the tournament was him and Morikawa holing out back to back.
That's crazy.
That was a cool moment. Stuart Sink making hole-in-one on 16 that I should have laid the $1.25 that you talked me out of. That was a cool moment. But take nothing away from Scheffler. Now let's go to Tiger.
Okay.
To me, he was really, really struggling on Saturday and Sunday. And I think in my mind, if this wasn't the Masters, I don't think you would have seen Tiger play the weekend, especially maybe not Sunday. Because he has the excuse to where nobody can say, this and that. He was legitimately hurt, and you could see it. I will give him all the props in the world for how he played in this week. I mean, first competitive tournament in whatever it was, 2 years or whatever, and how he played, how he performed. And as I said to you last week, as we went through this discussion on this same program, that he wasn't there just to participate. He didn't want the participation trophy. He didn't care about the whatever $30,000 that he won. He didn't care about any of that stuff. He was there to win. Okay, you could tell his game was rusty. He didn't hit it bad. He didn't hit it great, but he was there to win. And he always said, like at the end of each round, if I can, get 5 or 6 yards in the front 9 and get within 5 on Sunday, excuse me, as I'm dying here. If he can get with 5 or 6 with 9 holes to go, and you never know what happens, because he said all the right things in his mind. He thought he could still do that, but his body, it took a toll on him this week, and I don't think you're going to see him for a while. But it was a pretty cool to watch him, and it's not so much making the cut, because I could have cared less. Make the cut, miss the cut. I didn't care about that. If you're a Tiger fan, you want him to be in the hunt, have a chance, because like I said, he's not there just to participate and just hang out with the guys. That's not who Tiger Woods is.
No, but and I guess so. You're surprised that he played out the weekend, because to me, I think he needed to prove to himself that he could play 4 rounds of competitive major golf and get through it. And he was laboring. Let's call it what it was. He was laboring because he has not played a competitive round of golf in before the Masters 500 and something days. He was asking his body to do a lot. But I think if Tiger is to still play at a competitive level, and he's not going to play the amount of events that he used to play, and I don't know if he's going to play a whole lot of events outside of the 4 majors and probably his tournament, right? That's probably it that you'll see him play on a yearly basis. If he's going to do that, and he wants to do it for the next, let's call it 5 years, Bernie, right? Let's just say the next 5 years.
He's 46, so yeah, okay.
5 years.
50, 51, okay.
He's 50 or 51, right? This is a trial balloon to, okay, can I do this? This is a trial balloon of, I'm not setting myself up for success this weekend, but I am trying to set myself up for success 6, 8, 10, 12 months down the road. That's what he's trying to do. And I think for him, if he were to withdraw, even though he was playing poorly and his body was clearly acting up, I think you would start to maybe have some doubts about whether or not he would be able to continue to play. And I think he would have those doubts as well. So I think this was Not so much the score, but I think it was, I need to be able to finish 18 because I need to gauge where I'm at. I need to see where I am after playing 4 rounds of 18 so I know, okay, this is where I got to work. This is what I need to do in order to get myself ready for the next one. Because again, he committed to playing the Open Championship, right? He didn't shut the door out on playing the PGA Championship. He wants to play these events, and so I think now he's got something that he can easily put stock into, easily look back to and say, okay, that's how I felt doing that. That's how I felt playing that course. What can I do to get myself in a better spot for next time? So I'm not surprised that he finished out because I think he had to.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm just, if this would have been, I don't know, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, I don't think, but I don't think he would have finished. I don't, but that's just me. But going forward, St. Andrews is flat. Southern Hills, nothing is going to be as hard to walk as what he just played here. Okay, so anything that he plays going forward, and I agree with you, 4 or 5 tournaments maybe. He might play the Players Championship next, but I don't know. I mean, going forward, any course that he plays or any tournament that he tees it up in is going to be a lot flatter. It's going to be a lot easier on him. This was he went to whatever. If you go to Orange Theory or whatever, he went to the max. He went to the max on this one as far as walking and getting through it. And kudos to him for that. So I guess part of the Tiger thing is when we look back on this, let's just say one thing. Let's say that Scheffler does not win another tournament the rest of the year, or he wins one. Okay, let's just say that. When somebody comes to you in 2025 or 2024 and says, "What do you remember about the 2022 Masters?" Is it Tiger Woods or is it Scottie Scheffler?
I mean, how can it not be Tiger Woods, right? And no disrespect to Scottie Scheffler, but how can it not be? He's the biggest name in the sport. He's the biggest name in the sport. Probably ever. I would argue ever. The biggest name in the sport. Right. Coming back after a 500-plus day layoff to play competitive golf. I mean, that's the story. And, Bernie, I won't rule out the idea that if in 2 or 3 years he has won another major, and I'm not predicting that here on the show. I'm just saying if when you ask me this question in 3 to 5 years down the road, when we look back on the 22 Masters, if Tiger has won another major, of course that's what people are going to remember because people are going to point to that and say, that's where it started. He had to do that in order to get to there. And so that's where I think it can become a bit of a talking point. But no, I still think Scheffler winning is a big deal. But no, Tiger will be the story.
So I always have kidded with you for the years that we've been doing this on and off the radio, podcast, whatever. I've always called you the casual golf fan.
I've called myself that on the show.
And that's just a nickname. Yeah, So there was some criticism this week from some players that thought, you hit a good golf shot and you don't get rewarded here. Whether it was, Terrell Hatton was very adamant about it. And that dude, that's a guy I'd love to have a beer with. That I would love to sit down and have, 2 beers with Terrell Hatton because that dude is funny as hell. I mean, he wears every emotion on his sleeve and it's fun to watch. But he was critical, and Augusta's Augusta. Even though you qualified for Augusta for next year or whatever, if you don't have to be invited. And he was very critical of Augusta today, of the committee, the pins, the nuances of the golf course. And I understand what he's saying because you hit a perfect shot, whether it's on 9 or number 2 or wherever, and all of a sudden you get this shit roll and you're 60 yards off the green or you're in a spot that there's no way you can get it up and down. And he just feels like, and he didn't use the word Mickey Mouse, but he used I forget exactly what word he used, but he was his comments are heard. I mean, the committee at Augusta National that sends the invites every year, they're well aware of what he said. But from the casual golf fan, do you enjoy watching people hit good shots and then get screwed? Like, you hit, and I get it. You hit a shot on 16. Let's say it's day 2, and the pin's the front right over that bunker, and the ball lands, and it's all of a sudden it's 6 feet from the hole, and then all of a sudden it takes a slope, and you've got 70 feet from the front left of the green. From your perspective, do you think that's fair? Do you enjoy watching that?
Bernie, you're a baseball fan, right?
Huge.
You watch all the Angels games, right?
All of them. Up 4-0 when we came to tape this.
The Angels, later on at some point during the season, I don't know their schedule, they're going to go to Boston and play the Boston Red Sox, right?
Okay, I know you're going.
It's a fair assumption, right? They're going to go play at Fenway Park, and they're going to play Boston.
Yes.
Well, guess what they're going to have to do? Their guys are going to stand in the box, and they're going to get a good pitch to hit at some point. And maybe Mike Trout pulls the ball to left field, and it hits the green monster, and instead of it being a home run, like it would be in almost every other park in the majors, it's a long single, or it's a double based on the way the bounce is. Mike Trout going to complain? Don't want to play at Fenway Park. I mean, it's just unfair. No, you know what your environment is. You know what happens at the course you're playing. Yeah, sometimes you can hit a baseball absolutely pure, but you're playing in a park where you can't hit it there. If you hit it to that part of the ballpark, it's not going to be a home run. It's going to be a double. Where if you're able to put it into the right center field gap, it's a little bit easier for it to get out of the ballpark. You know that going in. It's not like the hole sneaks up on you at Augusta. You know the way the course is. You know the way the course plays. And so I just, that type of argument falls flat to me because guess what? I can give you an example in another sport where your environment is constantly changing on a game-to-game, week-to-week basis based on where you're playing, and you have to play to the dimensions that are put in front of you. You have to play to the course that is in front of you. And guess what? The top-tier golfers in golf find a way to make the shots at these courses that aren't just good shots that become bad shots, that are great shots, and that put them in a position in order to win. So yeah, sometimes you're going to hit a really good shot at a golf course, and it's going to take a really bad bounce, and you're not going to have the second look that you thought you were going to have. Just like in baseball, Mike Trout can step up to the dish at Fenway Park and absolutely crush a ball that would be out in 29 other ballparks in the majors. But because he hit it at Fenway Park, it's only a long double. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You got to find a way to either hit it a little bit higher if you're in the baseball analogy and hit it out of Fenway Park, or find a different approach. And that's what I would say to the golfing world as well. So no, I don't feel bad for a golfer who hits a good shot and gets a bad bounce. That's the way the game's played. It happens to me when I'm out playing. So no, I don't. That argument does not sit with me.
I gotta say that was maybe one of your best comebacks.
Yeah,
in all the years we've
I've
been
peaked.
doing
We
this.
should wrap the show. We should wrap the show here because I'm not going to be able to go another 10 minutes.
We probably should wrap the show because if I don't know how you're still doing a podcast with me and Dahlby because you are way smarter than him and I combined. And that analogy was actually perfectly summed up. I didn't agree with Terrell Hatton, but I understand what he's saying. But the way you just put that, and you're right, whether you hit a ball off the wall at Fenway off the green monster, it hits those tiles, and I mean it could bounce 60 feet right, 30 feet left, come straight back at you, die right on the. I mean you don't know, and you're right. If you're trying to hit it out on a line drive, hit it somewhere else besides that wall. Now if you want a double, or as Trout, wants a double, hit it off the wall. But yeah, you're right. But I just was getting your feedback, and you've made it 100% clear how you feel. So that good on you for that. But no, the show, we got 10 more minutes of this show.
But really quickly, Bertie, like to continue the baseball analogy, there are guys that go and they get to play games in Coors Field, and they get the advantages of that. There are courses where you're going to be able to maybe hit a bad shot, and it's going to be able to turn into a good shot because of the way the course is set up. Like it cuts both ways. And so to only make your voice known when it doesn't go your way feels disingenuous to me. That's the problem I would have with it.
Okay. And I'm on your side. I can't disagree with you on that. And and Dahlby and I next week when he comes back, we're gonna dive into something about Colin Morikawa. Oh my God, I've had 2 sips of a beer and 1 sip of maybe 2 sips of the Jameson, and I can't even speak. But Dahlby and I are going to dive in next week to Colin Morikawa, who played really well this week and finished third. But I want to more about the golf swing and things that they do there, the preparation. But with you, I want to talk about Bryson DeChambeau. And here's a guy that, 7 months ago, was trying to win the World Long Drive competition. Didn't win it. Very good performance. Now is hurt. Is hurt. Now his game, he started the year 5th in the world to now he's just barely inside the top 20. I think he's 19th, maybe 18th. And he's lost. This guy is completely lost. And let's go back to the baseball analogy that you brought up a little while ago. When you try to change your swing mechanics, pitching, whatever it might be, to try to get better, throw harder, hit it farther, you can screw things up. And you see a lot of players that in both sports that had great potential, all of a sudden, let's change this real quick while we're here. Let's just change this, and I'm going to start. I'm going to change my swing a little bit this way. I'm going to start doing it this. And in DeChambeau's case, I'm going to try to hit it 400 yards in every hole. Schubert, the guy's lost, and he's right now he's in the downward spiral of his golf. I mean, he made it here. He's been very successful. Now he's on his way down. And from all the times you've worked in baseball and things like that, when you start going down, it's hard to stop. I mean, the down doesn't end. You keep going and going and going, and next thing you know, you've hit rock bottom. And that's what I think Bryson DeChambeau's at right now. I really do. I think he's at rock bottom.
Yeah, and this has now turned into a baseball show in some capacity because we just keep making the comparison. Right. But I think it's the sport that leads itself to making the analogies make sense. In baseball, pitcher has a major injury, right? And Tommy John, or has to get a rotator cuff surgery, or has to completely get their arm redone, right? Well, they can't pitch the same way that they did. And in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, you come back from that surgery, you don't have the same life on the fastball. You're not able to do the same stuff, and your body is worn down. I think of pitchers like Matt Harvey with the thoracic outlet syndrome, who had to have surgery and was never the same pitcher after he had that surgery. Still has all of the talent still there. He's still the same person that he was when he was with the Mets, but had a major surgery that had to change the way that he pitched, and now he can't do some of the things that he used to do. And so I think about Bryson DeChambeau, and I don't know if he's had an injury to the level of the injury that I just outlined that could derail a career. But you mentioned going after the long drive competition and changing the way that you do things. That could have an impact. I'm not willing to jump ship yet. I like Bryson a lot. I know it's probably an unpopular opinion. I know he's not particularly popular amongst golf fans. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's good for the growth of the game, in my opinion. And I think golf is better when he is relevant and he is in and competing and being competitive and putting on the show that everyone knows that he can. But yeah, at some point when you hit rock bottom, you have to build yourself back up. And I don't know if he's there yet. And I don't, I'm not going to try to be a fortune teller and try to read into the work that he's doing behind the scenes in order to get himself ready for different events. But he's certainly not the player he was 6, 12, 18 months ago. I mean, that's an easy thing to see. You can see that just by watching. And so I'm not willing to say that he's completely bottoming out here, but it's certainly a downward trajectory that you'd like to see him turn around relatively quickly.
I look at him. I look at Jordan Spieth. I look at America's boy, Ricky Fowler. I look at these players that, in my opinion, they're lost. And we've all been lost in life, whether it's sports or something like that. We've all had trouble in life in one way or another. And either you figure it out or you don't figure it out. And I agree with you. Hopefully, I'm not the biggest Bryson fan, but yeah, he's good for the game. Ricky Fowler's good for the game. Jordan Spieth's good for the game. But it's hard when you're struggling. I mean, a lot of people didn't even realize that Ricky Fowler didn't play this week. This is the first time that he hasn't qualified for the Masters in I don't know how long. He's lost. Spieth, easiest bet that I ever made this week. Well, it wasn't the easiest, but I'll tell that in a minute. I mean, his game is lost. And you look at, I guess the way I'm going to put it, you look at, like, you start the beginning of the year, and golf's hard. Golf is a hard game.
Difficult.
It's even better word. You look at the beginning of this year, and all the expectations at the beginning of the year were Jon Rahm was going to break every single record he's going to be number one until the end of time. Okay. You have, the spotlight's off him now. Jon Rahm was nobody talked about Jon Rahm this week. You didn't see much coverage of Jon Rahm this week. Now I know I get overshadowed by Tiger in the way that Scheffler played, but the spotlight was off him. And you look at this, and it goes back to the one thing you said at the beginning of the program, and I 100% agree with you. You look at this list of all these players that are young and have the ability to become number one and remain number one. And Scheffler wasn't the guy, and now he is the guy. But you look at Rahm, you look at, and Dustin's not young, but you look at Dustin, you look at Koepka, you look at Morikawa, you look at Hovland, and Hovland needs to learn how to putt. Hovland's short game needs to improve. I mean, here's a talent, the guy that can hit the irons as good as anybody, and he just can't get it in the hole. But you look at this group of guys, and going forward, and all these in these major championships, they're coming up. There's only a group of like 10 or 12 Schu that I think can win. Now you're going to have your one Ben Curtis, Sean McKeel, who beat my friend Chad at the PGA one year. You're going to have every now and then that, but right now I think it's a group of 10 or 12 guys that are going to be the guys each and every week out there. And I guess my point I'm saying, and I really don't know what I'm saying. I should have pounded a 12 pack before we started this show. I sound better doing that, but you get what I'm saying. It's a group of 10 or 12 guys each and every week now going forward. It's you know what? It's like a NASCAR race. You get these particular. Now I'm changing sports on you and going to NASCAR.
Okay. But
it's like a particular track. That there's only 5 or 6 guys can win. I think that's the way the PGA Tour is now.
Listen, not up to date on my NASCAR analogy, so I'm not going to be able to take this one and move it a little bit further. But I understand the point that you're emphasizing, and I would tend to agree, right? And while on a week-to-week basis you're going to have your outliers where a guy's just going to get hot, it's going to be a course that he's familiar with and he's going to be able to play extremely well. Overall, when it comes to these bigger events, when it comes to looking at the season from a bigger picture, yeah, I think it's about 10 to 12 guys that are, if we were able to, they would be the picks every week and who you got. Now, we challenge ourselves where you name a guy, you lose your guy. You can't use that guy moving forward. But yeah, I would agree with you. And, I don't know if we would agree on the 10 to 12 names. That would be, I think, a fun thing for us to do maybe next week on the show. But yeah, I think I would tend to agree that there's a short list of guys that you would consider the top tier of golf that you would say that guy can win every week. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So before we get to the who you got segment,
I've got something for you too as well here. I got to ask your advice on something.
Go ahead, ask it now.
Okay, so
is it financial?
No, it's golf related. All
right, no, it's not financial.
So
go ahead.
I had a buddy reach out to me the other day, and he asked my interest in participating in a golf league. So we're gonna create a league here, and it's monthly.
Does he have a name? What's your friend's name?
We'll keep him nameless. We'll just keep him nameless for the sake of this. And so it's a monthly league where we're going to play one course every month as a group, and we're going to keep standings. There's going to be points. We're going to have major championships.
Points.
These are actual points. There's going to be a standing sheet with points. Yes, this is like NASCAR points. These are not like the points in the league that you were in. And so I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous. My game has never been in a state where I can be competitive. I go out there, I hack it up with friends, I listen to some music out on the course, enjoy some adult beverages, have a good time with my friends, want to become a better casual golfer. But I'm the competitive type. I'm a little worried, and I need you and Dahlby to. I kind of need some coaching. I need to be coached up a little bit.
So Dahlby can probably help you with the swing aspect of this.
We need a lot of help there.
I can probably, and he's the guy. I can probably help you with how to make sure that you get the proper amount of strokes. I can help you with that part. I'll help you get a handicap. I'll even put some scores in for you. I'll make sure that it works to your advantage. But as far as the swing and things like that, he's probably your guy.
Because, see, I don't know the specifics. I might just have to go out and beat these guys straight up. We might not be playing with handicaps. And that's what scares me. That's what concerns me a little bit. Is I'm going to have to go out there and compete with these guys. I've broken 100 once. I'm trying to consistently break 100. That's my goal in life with golf. Hit the driving range last week. Hit a bucket of balls for the first time in 6 months to get myself ready for the summer to play more golf. And then this gets dropped into my lap. I'm now going to be a part of a league. So there's the summer shows are going to be fun because, like, you have the Tuesday match. I'm going to have the monthly league, and I'm going to have to talk about it on the show. So just thought I'd get some early.
Do you need to come play in the Tuesday match one time to let you get the grind of what it's like to play
some high pressure golf?
Amateur, yeah.
Maybe.
You know what? Yeah.
Maybe. I might need to play in the Tuesday match. We can consider this.
Maybe you can be my partner one time, and I'll have to live through it for 18 holes. But that's a good idea. Yeah. You know what? I'll bring you out one time. You play in the Tuesday. You can meet the fellas. I call them fellas.
Cool.
You can meet Three Putt Dave. You could meet him. You could meet barbecue grilling expert Adam. You can meet. These are the guys I play with. I mean, one's calm and the other one's not.
Okay.
All right, it's time for our weekly segment of Who You Got, presented by our good friends at Burrito Express. Now, before we get into the standings here, I want to talk about my MGM gambling this week. I was very successful, even though I didn't have Scottie Scheffler. Well, no, MGM, yeah, room points. You can get points for your room, towards your dinner, things like that. I was just scrolling through this week, and I went, wait, what? Patrick Cantlay versus Jordan Spieth for the week. Huh. Click. Winner. Now, Cantlay played like hell this weekend, but Spieth missed the cut. And then I'm like, okay, wait, what? After Justin Thomas shot 77 the first round, one of the sites that I use had him at plus $1.85 to finish in the top 20. And I went, huh, click, 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 and click. Then I had him at top 10, click. So it was a very successful week for myself at the BetMGM. And as you know, in last week's Who You Got, you guys gave me the layup. So I took Justin Thomas, and since it was a major, I got 6 points. Dahlby got 4, and Schu only got 2. Yeah. What happened last week, Schu? Your boy Kiz
did not play particularly well. He did not, and it was a bad pick. It was a poor pick. I was due for one, considering this was the worst I had done all year. Not the time you got you gotta find ways to score points in who you got during the majors, and this is a big letdown. So we got to come back with a big week. This is weird. I have to go last this week, and I only have one name prepared. So if one of you takes my name, I'm going to do the Dahlby, and I'm going to scramble here for a name.
I will guarantee you, this week at Hilton Head, you will not have the guy. You probably never even heard of this guy that I'm picking this week.
I'm taking an obscure guy. I won't lie. It's a guy that I wouldn't normally list right away. But I don't get to go first, so please, you won last week picking Justin Thomas. The floor is yours, and who you got. You get to make your pick. I have the spreadsheet open. So,
all right, everybody. Anybody that wants to gamble and take a long shot, I'm taking him this week. Matthew Neesmith.
Oh, you scared me a little bit. You scared me.
Capital N, small E, Smith, for you writing down in your thing there. Now, Dahlby is second, and he did text me. He's not sure if he's picked this person yet, so we're gonna. And I gave him a second option since he's not live on the air. Has he taken Kevin Kisner?
He has not taken Kevin Kisner, and this is going to hurt. If Kiz plays well this week after I picked him at the Masters, it's going to hurt me. So he's taking Kiz?
Yeah, he's taking Kiz.
Okay.
You know what his third? You know who his backup was, just in case he had taken him.
Who was his backup?
Kuchar. Ugh.
Oh. I'm glad he was able to get.
All right, your pick should already be in. Who is it?
It is. I'm taking a guy
with a third pick.
Taking a guy that's got 4 top 10s here in 2022. A guy who finished inside the top 15 this past week at the Masters. Give me Matt Fitzpatrick this week in the tournament. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's what I almost went with. I actually had him top 20 this week, too. He finished 16th.
You said Matthew, and I got a little scared.
Yeah, no, I'm saving him. I know where I'm saving him for. But real quick, one more thing about, and I talked about earlier, Schauffele. Here's a guy that if you look at who should win and who shouldn't each week and the odds and things like that, Xander Schauffele is always 20-1, 25-1, 30-1, 20-1. He hasn't won in forever, and here's a talent, a talent that hasn't won in forever, but yet Vegas won't adjust, and people keep betting him and betting him and betting him. I'm not going to bet Xander Schauffele in the tournament until I start seeing the correct odds of 40 to 50 to 1. I mean, like I said, talent should be able to win. Just he can't get it done, and he's just a guy that's as we talked about in that group of 12 or whatever. I would even include him right now. I mean, he's just a guy that is. I'm not saying he's DeChambeau. I'm not saying he's Spieth. I'm not saying he's Fowler. Let's not go there. But he's a guy that just, he finishes 20th, 25th, 18th, 9th, 6th. Not a guy that is on my radar right now to win a tournament in the near future. Do you agree?
Has played 10 events this year. Has one top 10. It's when he finished 3rd at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Since that point, tied for 13 at the Genesis, missed the cut at the Players, tied for 12th at the Valspar, tied for 35th in the World Golf Championship match play in Texas, and then missed the cut this week at the Masters. I was doing some research to see when his last win was. And I have to go a ways back. Do you want to try to guess when his last win was?
2019?
That's exactly when it was. It was the first event that he played in 2019. He played the Century Tournament of Champions. He finished 1st. And he was on a good run because he finished 8th the previous event at the Hero World Challenge and then finished 1st at the WGC in October. That was a good year for him. That was the year he finished 2nd at the Masters. Remember, he had a chance on Sunday. He was kind of playing spoiler for Tiger a little bit. Finished tied for 14th at the Memorial. Finished tied for 3rd at the U.S. Open. Finished tied for 19th at the BMW. And finished 2nd at the Tour Championship. That's the last really good stretch. He played 21 events, had 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, 6 top 10s, and 14 top 25s. He hasn't had a win since. He had 7 top 10s. He had 7 top 10s the following year, 8 top 10s last year.
Yeah, but he's a guy you go to the window and like, oh God, 20 to 1. Give me $50 in this guy. No, it's terrible. So, all right, Schu, great job. I know this show went sideways. We talked about NASCAR. We talked about baseball. We talked about all kinds of things. And just because, that's just who we are. You never know. The most inconsistent podcast in the world, you just never know where it might go. But I had a good time, buddy. I really appreciate it. And Dahlby will be back next week, and we'll do it again next week, the 3 of us.
Sounds like a plan. I'll be there.
All right, buddy. Have a good week.